my name is Jesse James, and welcome back to another episode of Dealership Life, which is where I take you on a general week of what it's like for me working in sales at a Harley-Davidson dealership. I wish I had been recording at the start of the week, because as soon as the day started, had a customer right out there ready to rock and roll with stuff, and he'd already purchased this motorcycle, but it was one of those, like, this is why I do this job. So it was Vietnam veteran going over to a new trike, and he absolutely, like, he's one of those, like, people where you have to get to know him because he is a bit crotchety and, like, Vietnam veteran, so rightly so. But once you get to know him, he's a very, very sweet man that has just had a rougher life as of things. But yeah, got him a brand new trike, which he never thought that he would be something he'd be able to do. And just watching the emotions and stuff that he was going through with it was super cool. And for me, it's always real special because the reason I got into Harleys was because of my dad, who was a Vietnam veteran, and he bought a Harley wallet. Never got to get a bike. He always said, hey, I'll get one eventually, but getting that wallet as a promise to himself, never got to make it happen, unfortunately. His money went to, strangely enough, raising me. But yeah, so like, he was the one that got me into it, and to be able to help another vet, actually make that dream come true is a super special moment. Because it's hard to, like, one of the things I have to remind myself sometimes after doing this so long, playing around with new bikes, is you get kind of jaded to it, right? Like, oh, another new bike left. Oh, another new bike, another first-time rider, and that stuff. So having those special moments, seeing that stuff is super, like, that is why I do it. So yeah, I wish I could have been recording that, but it was a kind of in and out type thing for him today, because it's also his birthday. So he was going to go celebrate with the new trike. Getting to work, another cool thing though, it's on this pre-owned 2020 Road Glide Standard. And fella has been sober for 3 years now. And so he's saved up the money, and this is his sobriety anniversary present to himself. We're working out the time for him to come down and go over to it, but it's set up the way that he wants, mostly because of the bars. If you follow me on my shorts, you'll remember I did a video on this bike asking about the bar height and what people thought about it. But he said that's exactly what he's looking for. So working out time for him to come down and check it out. But yeah, just super cool moments with Harley-Davidson being at the end of it for people so far this week. I'm hoping that is the theme that continues on, because it'll just be really cool, especially leading into the holiday season. So it is now the next day. Was actually here till 8 p.m. last night. All for good reasons. Trying to spin the camera around a little less there. First, we got this Road Glide sold yesterday. It's going to be a great bike for this guy. Like, literally 3,000 miles on it. Digs the bars, so saved himself a little bit of money there, and exhaust. The cool thing for that guy is yesterday, whenever he bought it, that was his 3-year anniversary for being completely sober. So again, that's his present to himself. So that was awesome to get to be a part of that. Also got Pan America sold, and fella trading into Pan America to go over to another one. He actually rode this all the way up to Alaska and back. But look at that, is the highest number of miles I have seen on a Pan America, which is really cool. But yeah, just wanted to go over to a newer Pan America where it already had the charging system fixed. So if you don't know, on the first generation of Pan Americas, the big, like, Achilles heel for it was its charging system. They would overheat, cause a whole bunch of problems, and it would cause electrical gremlins through it. In 2024, that was addressed. So on that was his biggest complaint, was electrical gremlins. And he's like, well, and we're also getting up there in miles, because he does plan on doing that Alaska run again. He's actually going to take the powder-coated pieces that you see on that, get it switched over to his new bike. Whenever I first saw it, thought that those powder coater pieces were actually off of a CVO, so that's super cool. But yeah, ended up being a very late one last night. But 2 bikes going at the start of the week is not a bad way to start. So I swear that the ability to talk in public is something that is just not taught or something or other. So I'm over here in what I call my little editing bay up here in Cubicle 1, and just had a fella storm into the front doors and literally yelling from the front doors, "Where's the oldest broken down bike that you got here? I want to buy it." That's his opening line. And one of my fellow salespeople walked up to him and we're just like, "Well, we don't really have anything like that for sale. Tend to send it off to auction." And he's just like, "Well, I don't want any of this stuff that runs and whatnot. Generation's too soft these days. Having a Harley is about working on it, not riding on it." And I'm just sitting over watching all this stuff. And like at the end of the day, it was the thing we told him, it's like, we don't have anything like that to sell. He didn't know where to go to look for that stuff. And so like the sales guy said, you can like check some pawn shops or marketplace. But it was just so wild to me. Like, excuse me, maybe it was just a thing of like, he didn't know how to ask the question or whatnot, but it would not have been my opening move to just go through the front door and exclaim that, to ask about where to find something broken out. And that the whole purpose of riding, like, because I get the whole idea of part of the ride, like part of the fun of owning a Harley for some people that they enjoy is working on it. I get that. There's a lot of people that enjoy that, and Harley has meant several different things to different people. But I don't know, it just wouldn't have been the way that I would have gone about the situation if I was looking for a project bike. What are your guys' thoughts though? Am I in the absolute wrong for thinking that was a weird way of going about asking that question? Or yeah, I'm curious what you guys have to say on that one. So this is the first time I've actually gotten to see Blue Streak on the Street Glide CVO. We just didn't get one sent in, but we're at the point in the year now where we're starting to switch inventory between the stores. And like, check out that difference of wheel. I really like that as a different option. But yeah, so we're trading the inventory between the stores at this point in the year. That's not uncommon for us. We do that just to, get the last of whatever the previous year, get as much of the moved as possible. And so we pulled that one in from our Louisville location. Hi, Vince. We pulled that one in from our Louisville location. And I was just back here admiring it because, again, first time I got to see it. And actually met someone from not too far out of my hometown of Madisonville. I'm originally from Beaver Dam. Both two really small towns. They're so small that 9 times out of 10 we call them by the county instead of the town. But anyway, so he and I started chatting about it, and he had been looking for this style of bike. And this was, we're the second dealership he said he'd seen it at all year. So got to see it, got to have a good conversation. He is still rocking a 2014 CVO himself. 13 that he bought in 14. But he's still rocking and enjoying. But he said this is the first bike that he's seen since he bought his CVO that actually caught his eye. So we sat down, looked over numbers. Everything was where said he was comfortable with, where he was hoping that it would be at. He just wanted to talk about it with his wife. Now, he had already sent photos over to the wife, and as a salesperson, that is actually one of the objections you will hear very often of, "Oh, I got to go talk to XYZ third party that's not here." And in those situations, I like to ask, it's like, "Hey, do they know you're looking? Have you talked with them about it before with budget, stuff like that?" And whether this guy comes back and buys or I never see him again, he was very, he sent photos over to his wife, said, "No, just we don't make decisions apart, conversation to have together, that we like to have together." And at the end of the day, all I can do is respect that. She knew he was looking, knew the budget that had been set out for it, but as a married man myself, it's a respect thing. So wants to go and have that conversation in person. We'll see how it plays out. Personally, I would like to see him rocking out on this bike solely because you can really tell whenever somebody digs a paint setup and likes a bike. And so he really liked what this bike was putting down. But like all things, it is up to the customer whether this bike stays on the floor or goes home with them. The thing is, I'm doing a lot of, this has all been one day so far, and there's been a lot of talking just in the service bay. So maybe I should just stay here. This seems to be where my business is happening for today. So it is now not just the next day, but it is the day after the next day. Because absolutely nothing happened yesterday. And yeah, today finally something happened. That's the winner for you, though, is it's not unusual at all for there. Sometimes just weather dependent, sometimes absolutely nothing will happen. But we did get some stuff started today. I did make the joke, by the way, that the reason nothing happened yesterday was because I came out of the service drive and was back out here on the floor. But here, let me tell you about what was going on today. So your eyes are not deceiving you. I am wearing different things because it's now the next day. To kind of tell you how I shoot these vlogs, I'll tell the story as I'm going in like little snippets here and there. And sometimes during my hour lunch, if something's happened but I still have like tasks I have to do for the shop, I'll like make a note for myself, hey, during your lunch, go and like shoot that segment and whatnot, right? Well, yesterday I didn't get a lunch because I got super busy after I shot the little spot at my desk saying, just got done with a really great conversation. Let me tell you about that conversation, and then I'll tell you about the rest of how yesterday played out, because it was wild, man. So yeah, he very much is a fan of more traditional style. So Fat Boy was the bike that he and I ended up talking the most about. And the thing that he liked the most about this bike was actually the front end redesign. He said that was the thing that he was most impressed with the Fat Boy, and it really, in his own words, showed off that steamroller styling that the Fat Boy has been known for, that he really personally liked. So I thought that was cool, but furthermore, like, this was a dude where he and I actually like float in similar circles. We just had never interacted before. So like he rides a lot, visits a lot of the same places I do. So it was just a super cool interaction. And for anybody that is looking to be into sales and whatnot, especially for like motorcycle sales, do I think he's going to be buying next week, next month, or even next year? No, not really. But that good conversation, who knows what can come of it in the future. But also sometimes, like, I know for me sometimes, like, just having a good conversation with somebody, that can flip my whole day around. And it definitely did yesterday, because like for a little, you go from like, oh, thinking I gotta do this many phone calls, reach out to this many people, make sure that, check up on these numbers, and the like essentially the meat and potatoes of it. But then you can have a conversation like that, and it just like fuels the passion for it, and just remind you, like, at the end of the day, this is a people business. So that was super cool. The thing that happened afterwards, though, absolutely had me flabbergasted. So right as I was gonna go to lunch, had a fella come in that was looking for this specific bike. He'd seen it on the website. He'd been hunting it since 2023, and he came in and ended up buying it. Really, like, it was a super cool interaction from start to finish too, because rewind a couple years back to 2023, he and I had actually met, but at the time he had a 2018 Road Glide that was super built up. Now, it was very early for me working in Harley, and I remember seeing that bike come in, and I could just tell there was something different about it. So he and I had actually spent 30 minutes just talking about his bike and everything he'd done with it. He'd built it up to a 131, nasty build on it, audio kit all the way across it, like to the nines, right? So I didn't recognize him because it had actually been 2 years since he had come back through. But whenever he came in and talking about this, and I was like, hey, what's got you thinking of going over to this bike beyond just a showstopper type thing? Like, kind of probing and figuring out, making sure it's like, in my mind, it's like, okay, let's make sure this is the right bike, right? Well, then he starts talking about his previous bike, and slowly that bike come to mind, because it takes a lot for a bike to stand out to me, but that bike definitely did. But whenever he started describing the previous bike, I was like, I remember that bike. And he and I continued on from that conversation, but he had actually gotten in a wreck last year to the point where he said his foot was almost completely severed off, cut through the Achilles tendon and everything back through there, and he hadn't been able to ride for a long time. Wasn't even sure if he'd ever be able to, but he's recovered since then, had been working his way back up to this moment, and he said that he remembered this bike back in 23, but at that point, he wasn't looking for a bike. He was happy with what he had, and he was still building it. But whenever he had told himself, he's like, okay, had reached that point of, okay, I'm healthy again, I'm ready to get back out and ride again. He had seen that this bike was back, and he's like, he said it felt like almost destiny that this bike gets back on the market, when it was the only one that had really interested him since he'd been building it up. And so it was super cool. It was one of the first sales in a while where, like, it was an emotionally charged thing, man, because actually no, because it's actually been a very emotionally charged week now that I think about it, because earlier in the week we had the Road Glide go out that it was him celebrating 3 years of sobriety, and then we had the Vietnam veteran before that, and so yeah, it's been just an emotionally charged week, and I think that's something that if you're not somebody that it rides, or you're not, like, you don't, like, if you're not a rider, you wouldn't understand the passion that these machines, like, that we have for these machines. So, and that's again, my favorite thing of this job is helping those riders go over to these bikes that they've either been planning for, working to, or a big moment. And it's been fantastic that it has been throughout this week. So forgive me if I mispronounce your name on this one, but Thanoset City 1896 asks, if you add heated grips in a tour pack to a Road Glide or a Street Glide, you've basically got a Ultra Limited or a Road Glide Limited, according to the salesman he had talked to, and asked what my thoughts were. And my answer to that is yes and no, because it very much depends on what year you're comparing it to. If you're comparing it to like a bikes in 2023, if you added just a tour pack and the heated grips, personally, I don't think you'd would have gotten a Road Glide Limited or an Ultra Limited, just because those bikes at that point were coming with a painted interfering, lowers, and then a different suspension over the Road or Street Glide. In 2025, you're a little bit closer to that, even though they don't offer a Road Glide Limited as of this year. But for the Street Glide Ultra, they do offer that, and I do think if you add heated grips and the tour pack, you're pretty much there. You just need to add lowers and a taller windshield. So it very much just depends on the what year you're comparing it to. Now, what I actually tell a lot of my own customers is, if a person's looking to add that tour pack or wanting to do stuff for more long haul setup, depending on how far they're wanting to go customization wise, to me it makes more sense to already just go and get that full dresser, because money wise you'll end up saving money potentially, just depending on what you're looking to do. Now, if you've made it this far in the video, you probably also are interested in either what goes on at a Harley dealership or have your own questions. Throw them in the comments section. I go through, I read every comment, and I pick out the best ones and put them in a little section like here at the end of the video. But that is going to do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. It's truly one of my favorite things doing is making these videos for you guys and interacting with the community. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys ever want to come through the Evansville area just to say hi, if the store's open, I'm usually here. So please don't feel shy of ever coming over and saying hi. More than anything, thank you guys for watching. And if you want to see another week where I had a great bounce back after a terrible week of sales before then, check out this video. I'll see you over there.